It's showtime!
Yay, showtime!
Good morning, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosa, and I'm here with...
Hey, everybody. It's Andrew Plank with Royal LePage.
How are you doing?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Yep. Going to try and get away for a couple of days, I was just mentioning. So that's fun. It's feeling a little slower out there for some folks. It's a little busier for others, but it's a good time for us to get away. So we booked it and we're doing it.
Awesome. I just
Yay.
came back. I don't know if you noticed the tan. My first holiday in 3 years.
Amazing. Yeah. So that was fun. You went down south.
Yeah.
Mexico.
And I will say, if you want your business to pick up, just go away on holiday.
I know. Like I'm trying to get away, and so already my phone is ringing and emails are coming through and texts are. Okay, good.
It feels like it's busier to me. Like I'm finding more buyers wanting to see properties. I saw a place at Esouk on the weekend. That was a single family home. I'm pretty sure there were issues with it, but anyway, it was tons of people. And then I went to 2 open houses with clients and it was so busy. That's when
I'm starting to see more open houses. And when it's interesting because when our colleagues started doing open houses again, a lot of the reporting was, it's so dead, not getting anybody through, thinking it's the end of the world here. But I just think people weren't trained to open houses. It's been so long without open houses. Nobody's actually even thinking about it or looking at it. But now they seem like they're getting busier. And a lot of colleagues, my clients are saying, oh, I'm going to go to this open house. I'm going to that open house. So,
yeah. So as a listing agent, it's interesting to me because I'm like, you know what, for 2 years, we have not done any open houses and we've had a really fast market. So how effective are they? And I said, well, they're really great for buyers, because they don't have to go through. But unfortunately, with the quick offer dates now, if a buyer is interested in a property and they don't tell the agent their realtor's name, it is very hard to get in touch with people to let them know, oh, an offer's come in. And there's Ginger, right, by the way.
Hi, Ginger. Yeah, so you're talking about either a fully offer or an offer in the meantime. So, they go to the open house, your clients go to the open house, they don't tell you they're going, they don't tell you they went, they don't tell you they're interested. And so there's no way for you to communicate with the other agent. The other agent doesn't have their name or your name because they haven't said, I'm working with Jane Johnston, I'm working with Andrew Plank, whatever. So there's no way for us to get in the loop. So that's the one challenge with the open houses in that sense, unless there is that kind of communication. So tell us, clients, I tell my clients to do that, introduce, let the host know who you're working with and so forth. That being said, Jane, though, not every open house is hosted by the listing agent either.
Yes, but I get people to ask. I give them instructions on what to do. So hopefully they follow. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about today's stats.
Yeah.
You did a great job last week. Thank you very much.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Are you kidding me? Oh, wow. Okay.
Mr.
That was all on my own. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so let me just take off this. There we go. Let's go. All right, so we got the month-to-date statistics, and then we'll talk about what's happening with last month. And then I'm just going to add Jen Lowe. Jen's with Modern Mortgage Group. She's going to be talking to us today about what's happening with the federal budget and the financing. So let's just bring her in right now. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Hi, Jen.
So we're just going to talk the statistics, and then we can get your opinion on. We'll do an overview and then get your opinion on top 3 things you want to talk about.
Right. Good.
Okay, Andrew, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So we've got the month-to-date stats. This is actually this is the month-to-date. So so far we're on April 11th, a third of the way into the month. So for so far, 247 sales have gone unconditional this month, as opposed to for the full month of April, 1,116. So a third of the way into the month, multiply that by 3, we'd be 750. So we're still well under if we were kind of on a linear kind of approach there. New listings come on market, 439. That's, it's good to see more listings coming on market than selling, and active listings currently 1,175. Again, that's a bump up from where we've been at. And last year, though, we were at 1,454. So we're still low compared to last year.
Yeah. Okay. And then over the past week, we've had 344 new listings compared to 205 that have gone pending. Over the past few months, we've been seeing a 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.2 ratio of list to sales. So this is absolutely great. And I'm noticing, like on the weekend when I went to work with a client, we picked, I think, 8 properties and we got into view 7. So
yeah. I've got a client coming from Vancouver next week, and I'm hoping there's actually stuff to show her, and that's this is a good sign.
Yeah. Price decreases were 40, so this is higher than we've been seeing in the past as well.
Yeah.
And price increases are 11. I'm finding what happens is if people they list here and they expect this lift in the market on offer day and they're not getting it, they're increasing their price. So they're changing their strategy.
Yeah.
And back on market is 3. I actually am one of those 3 with a buyer. We actually wrote an offer on a property that was expired, and so it went back on the market to report the sale.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? If client has a property listed for sale and they get what they're requested it for the sale price, so they listed it for 600,000 and someone offers 600,000, are they obligated to accept that?
In the contract they are, but we remove that paragraph.
Well, we don't always, but in those times it's pretty hard to enforce that, and it's pretty subjective. So there's language in a standard contract that says, the seller agrees. I mean, this is to keep people from just kicking tires and saying, I want to sell my house. Well, let's see if I can get an offer at this price, but I may not actually even sell it at this price. And of course, there's a lot of work that's been done, and a lot of people have gone through the home and shown it, and it just creates a lot of churn. So there's language in there to protect the, all the buyers and agents and everyone else, but it often gets struck. And even if it's not struck, it's pretty hard to enforce legally. So, but we see it all the time. Somebody lists a home, and especially in this market, and they don't get the price that they had sort of hoped or anticipated, and they don't accept.
Yeah. And so sometimes what you can do is you just don't accept the offers that came in. And you can also protect yourself by not specifying an exact closing date, so it's open. So if they don't meet all the terms of the offer, then the seller's not obligated. But generally, I haven't had it happen often. Have you, Andrew?
Where people don't accept the offer price if it's good. I always coach my sellers not to list at a price below which they'd be willing to accept. So if you're looking for multiple offers, start on the low side of what you're willing to accept, and go from there. But don't start at a ridiculous price that you're never going to accept in the first place. It's just not fair to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so total active listings. This is following what we've just said. Over the past 2 years, we saw a hump in the market happening in June of 2020, and that was like a 2-month later. Usually we see the peak happening in April, and we had those record sales happening in October last year, September, October, November, and which depleted our market, and we're now seeing a bit of a rebound. So yay.
Now, the thing is, a lot of people look at this and say, oh, there's more inventory coming, and Kat's doing a little visit, more inventory coming. And so because there's more, there's going to be more, and this is the end of this, tight inventory and tight time. But I think I was saying last week, and I've said this to many of my clients, spring. This is when people do list their homes. It's when they've been waiting and holding off on listing their homes. They've lived through the winter and maybe stayed married through Christmas, but now they're deciding to divorce, or the new child on the way. Things are changing. Spring is always that time where there's a lot of shift and change. So we see more inventory on market. We see more happening. So don't expect to see this necessarily continuing into the summer.
Right. And the best time actually to sell your house, if you want to sell it the quickest, is actually February or March, because the number of listings increases in April. And you can see here, we're just past the peak and just past the bump of this past year. Those are when the list to sale ratios were extremely high. So we have not the total number of listings, but we have very active buyers, and the listings seem to follow the buyers. So we're seeing that again. Yeah. Okay. So, and then again, here's the peak and the bump happening both February, March type time of year. So we're looking, definitely we're still in a seller's market, but we're just below 110%.
Yeah. Right, now, Jane, you're saying peak there, but I'm looking at that, and the bump is the peak, isn't it? I mean,
they're both peaks. There's the 2 different years.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the what's the word? Where
the commonalities in the, you can see that it's like annually there's kind of this actual peak, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because we're higher this year. This bump is higher than we were hitting just insane amount of list versus sale ratio.
What were you going to say, Jen?
So the consensus is that we're potentially moving into more of a balanced market?
Well, if
you look at this chart, the last time we were at a balanced market was like back in April, May, June, like April, May of 2020.
Before as COVID was just starting.
Yeah, and that was really because we were already in an unbalanced, like we were in a seller's market and have been in a seller's market for a number of years. And COVID kind of put a pause on it and brought it back to what might be considered more normal, I guess, in the sense of activity. There was, those numbers, that's what the numbers show. It's, the point is that an actual balanced market is considered like a 15 to 25% list to sale ratio. And we are like the bottom quadrant of that whole chart. We have a long ways to go before we get to balanced.
Prior to COVID, we were in an increasing rate environment. There was threats, the rates were going up, and then COVID happened and everything plummeted on the rate side too.
And that's something
it was more of a balanced market there. You see it going down, but it was actually more balanced. It was at the lower end. And then it would just when COVID happened, it just really went into a buyer's market. Like for
a short time. Yeah, the little dip in April 2020 was buyer's market, but sort of on average in that time it was more balanced.
Yeah.
But Jen, and I know we're going to talk about the government budget and so forth, but speaking of an increasing rate environment, that's probably something else on people's minds right now, and you would be a good person to speak to that. If there's, Jane, I guess we have do we have more slides to go through, but I'd love to hear some comment on that at some point as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So single family homes, we're going to go through single family homes, condos and townhomes. So we're seeing a leveling off around 1.4. Now this is average and this is across Greater Victoria. So obviously we're affected by higher end listings. I am seeing some homes less than $1 million again. So I think the main thing sellers need to realize is don't get arrogant, because I'm seeing in Sydney, I'm going up to look at properties today in Sydney, and I'm seeing some of those townhomes and condos listed at the higher end, and they haven't got offers.
Yeah. And I've talked to a few colleagues who have had listings who said, I didn't even get one showing request, which is nuts.
Right. So just don't get as my dad used to say, the higher the monkey climbs, the more he shows his ass. So be careful. All right.
Okay.
Condo, go ahead.
We've moved
Okay.
on from turtles to monkeys.
I'm still on monkeys here. Okay, condo prices. So we're here in March 2020. We can see the sort of just a slight downward trend in the prices. If you look, there's a bit of a curve. Who knows, the next month it could go up. I mean, on average, this is a little hard to say, but it looks like we've kind of been balancing out on condo prices in the last few months. So we were expecting and anticipating and predicting, and we saw a rise in condo prices sort of bumping to catch up with the single family housing. It looks like maybe it's reached that equilibrium or peak at this point.
Yeah, and this really illustrates to me like the peak leveling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, row townhouses, same thing. The graph actually is so interesting to me because row townhouses recovered more quickly than condos did in COVID. And we see like they rapidly went up to 750, and now we're up just below, I would say 950, 925. And because there actually aren't really a lot of townhouses, this is going to be a little more volatile a graph than a condo.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't have the data to make the smoother kind of lines. There's less sales, and the price ranges tend to fluctuate more. So we get this kind of up down. So you have to kind of, squint your eyes, blur your vision a bit, and just sort of see where this line in general goes.
Yeah, looking at the trend. All right. And I know you hate this graph, but I like it. So we'll just look at the third column in each of the colors. So
okay. So LY percentage, is that what we're talking about?
Last year, yeah, we're looking at percentage over last year. So we're down 28.4% in the number of units sold over last year. So we're at 395. I'll do single family Greater Victoria. In terms of pricing, we're up 21.3% at 1.433. And the median, we're at 1,312 for single family homes over Greater Victoria. That's up 28% over last year. And compared to last month, we have sold in February 2022, 294 units. So you can see up to 395, looking good, hot market. And last year we were at 552. So compared to last year, still less.
Absolutely.
Do you want to do condos?
So condos, okay. So we are down over last year by 26%, with 279 units sold in the last versus last year. No, 279 units sold
this year.
We're for this. What is this? For averages, we're down. Average prices we're down. I do hate this graph. My business is going, so I have a hard time focusing on stuff. Apologies, everyone. 21.3% up on average pricing at 672,283. Our median price has gone up 25.7% to 611,000, and last month versus February 2022. Again, so median price 620,800, 267 units.
So this month, last year, we were at 377. So you can just see, like, we're at 279 for this month compared to 267 last month, and down from 377 year over year. But the price has gone up, so that's makes sense. So condo apartments went from an average 620 last year to 872 this year. Wow.
That's right, 872?
Yeah. Or sorry, 872. Yeah, up 21%. Sorry, I know he hates this graph, but this is what we're talking about. Row townhouses, 85 units. I'll just do it. 85 units, average price 864. Median was 840, and we're up 26.3% on average, up 29.3% on median. And compared to last month, 85 units this month, 80 last month, and 140 last year. So we're down. And I'm not going to do manufactured home. So active listings, we are down 18.9% year over year. Okay, I'll just go over this. There were a number of things asked by the federal, not asked, mentioned by the federal budget last week. Okay, so the first one was the tax-free home savings account.
It's an interesting one.
So do you want to comment on that, Jen?
Well, I'm trying to understand it. I don't totally understand it. So it's in direct comparison to an RRSP. Mm-hmm. So you can, like in listening to Justin Trudeau that was on CFAX this morning, he said, it's tax-free going in and it's tax-free coming out.
As long as you put it towards a home purchase. Right.
So, in RRSP right now, when you take money out to purchase a home, you can do it up to $35,000, and you have to pay that money back to yourself over 15 years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's the piece that is different with this new tax-free first home savings account.
I think it's more like an RESP, right? So it's a place where you can park your money, and then later on, maybe it's like for parents to do that for their kids. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely some things that are missing that I'm not totally getting.
Yeah. With an RSP, a first-time buyer can pull, is it 25,000 out, right?
35,000.
35,000. Okay. Yeah. So they can pull out 35,000 out of their RSPs tax-free. They have to pay it back over 15 years.
15 years.
So at that point, it gives you the ability to save up tax-free, but you still have to pay it back. Right. This 40,000.
In taking money out of your RSP, if later on, if it's not for purchasing a home, you're paying taxes on whatever tax rate you're at that point in time. So maybe I'm making assumptions, or like maybe with this tax-free first home savings account, it's not taxable coming out, no matter what. I don't.
Well, that would then be a tax. That you mean regardless of whether you buy a house or not?
I'm not sure, right? Because what's the difference from a tax-free savings account? Right?
Yeah. Why not just increase the RSP contribution limit, like the ability to make it, instead of 35, make it 75?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be a cleaner, better way to go about it?
But, yes. My comment, our Dominion Lending's chief economist, Dr. Sherry Cooper, what she wrote about, in summarizing the budget according to housing, she said it was very underwhelming, the measures that the federal government was putting towards helping our housing affordability. And I have to agree.
Yeah, that's everything I've been hearing and seeing too, both in media and from colleagues. And anytime you see sort of a new, we'll get to, let's go through, but there's also the restriction on foreign buyers, but everybody I'm hearing on that one says it's a non-issue. It's not going to really stop anything.
Right. Okay, let's go to the next one. To me, what this is saying is that they're increasing the amount to 75,000, 40 of which you don't have to repay over 15 years.
Which is great.
That would be the assumption, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. New Housing Accelerator Fund. So to me, this is kind of like the horse has already left the barn, and now we're trying to build the barn more barns.
Mhm.
But essentially they're providing $4 billion over 5 years to launch new housing projects.
Which is great. I mean, it's great to have new housing projects. It's great to have money put towards housing, but we're certainly not going to fix the housing problem with this 100,000. This is not even probably going to meet status quo, is it, with our needs over the next 5 years. So it just
in the West Shore, they're building like crazy already.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're behind.
I don't understand this piece.
So I think maybe one thing they should probably target is the funding of trades and trade education, so that we have people to actually help build these homes.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people out there without homes. We should be encouraging people to help. I mean, we need the labor to build homes and materials.
Yeah. Okay, new affordable housing. Providing $1.5 billion over 2 years starting in 2022 to extend rapid housing initiative. This funding is expected to create at least 6,000 new affordable housing units. Again, I'm a little underwhelmed, with at least 25% going towards women-focused housing projects.
Mhm.
Good idea. 6,000. I mean, we could absorb that in Victoria.
Victoria alone, yeah. I mean, the thing is that's when we see these numbers, and just think about it even from a Victoria-centric position, it doesn't really feel like it's gonna. When you spread it across Canada, I can't imagine it doing much.
Yeah. Okay. More flexible first-time buyer and home buyer incentive. Extension of first-time home buyer incentive, which allows eligible first-time home buyers to lower their borrowing costs by sharing the cost of buying a home with the government. Explore options to make the program more flexible and responsive to the needs of first-time home buyers, including single-led households. So
Raise your hand if you've been involved in one of those.
I've done one.
One.
And in my office of 5 brokers,
yes,
we've done 2.
2. Okay. Well, good for you on getting one in. But yeah, I don't know any buyers who've been at all interested in this or needing it or falling into a category where it's helpful to them.
Well, it's like a reverse bond, right? Like the government, you pay for your house. What is it, up to 5%? And then they pay up to 5%. And then when you sell, you owe them 5%
of whatever the future value is.
So it only really, yeah.
There was previously a BC home partnership a couple of years ago now. Well, 5 years ago it came, and I did one at that point in time. And those clients, their mortgage was up for renewal, and you have to pay out if you want to switch to a different lender. That amount has to be paid out, and people forget that they took advantage of that. But yeah, it's you're giving up 5% ownership of your home. There's additional legal costs because it's registered as a second mortgage. It's across Canada. The program is across Canada. So with the way it is currently, you can, I think its maximum mortgage amount is 4 times what your annual income is. So that really doesn't match to what house prices are in Greater Victoria. It just doesn't work.
Okay. I'm not a fan of this. A ban on foreign investment in Canadian housing proposes restrictions that would prohibit foreign commercial enterprises and people who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents from acquiring non-recreational residential property in Canada for a 2-year period. So I'd just like to say this is, to me, it is, what is it, like less than 2% or something of foreign buyers in Victoria?
I read less than 1%.
I can actually look up the stat.
Yeah.
I would be curious.
Okay, I will do that.
what I've been hearing colleagues talk about, and the point of this one is this one just has so many loopholes from the perspective of if you are a foreign buyer and want to buy, this doesn't apply to students, right? So become a student and then buy. I mean, sign up. I don't know exactly what the restrictions are, but it sounds like there's some loopholes. If someone really did want to buy in Canada, there's room to get around it. And then also the effect of this ban is just not going to really have much impact.
Not on Victoria.
And yeah.
Well,
and Canada's opening up a lot of immigration, and so people are coming into Canada from, we need to find housing for folks that are coming from outside of Canada. Those folks coming from outside of Canada may not have money, but maybe their families do. Those families may want to be buying property for their families and not able to. I don't know where this goes. I just don't see it just seems to be at cross purposes.
Okay, so I have the stats for last year. So buyers in Victoria, 65.64% were from BC, and elsewhere in Canada, 31.16%, and outside of Canada, 3.2%. And I'm pretty sure they were Americans leaving for government policy reasons. And I just want to say, to me, even bringing that up is a bit anti-Canadian. Like, we're a melting pot, people. And I have had clients who, specifically like from Turkey, whose wife and daughter were at school here, and the husband was a pilot. He was still working in Turkey, and he was unable to buy them a house because it just got too expensive. I think they added 20% for foreign buyer tax, and it just all of a sudden took him. And so then now they have to go back to Turkey. And what's the point of that? We need people like that.
Yeah, and again, we're opening our doors to lots of folks who are coming in from out of country, Ukraine, we've opened Afghanistan. We've opened to folks from all across the world, but the folks who are coming here don't necessarily have the money, but maybe their family does. So yeah, there's going to be. Anyway, let's move on. But this just doesn't seem to add up to something that's workable.
Okay, so to me, this is not very different. So property flipping introduced new rules so that any person who sells a property they've held for less than 12 months would be subject to full taxation on their profits as business income, applying to residential property sold on or before or on or after January 1st, 2023. Exemptions would apply to Canadians who sell their home due to certain life circumstances such as death, disability, birth of a child, new job, or divorce.
So if you're going to be flipping, have a lot of children.
Well, to me, we already had this, but I think it was for 18 months. So
yep.
I don't.
18 months is just too. 18 months. Okay.
I have a client who buys condos and does this. Huh?
Sorry. Like for people that are, are exempt from paying property transfer tax. Oh no, because this would be a federal rule, because our property transfer tax is provincial. That aren't in the home for at least a year, and then the provincial government does find you, and you are needing to pay that property transfer tax if you haven't lived in the home for at least a year. Like someone that's purchased a brand new home, for example, up to $750. They move into the home, but then they move out before a year. They may have to now pay that property transfer tax. But like I said, I'm using it because this is a federal thing and that's provincial. But
right. Well, what they're trying to do is stop people from, I think what they were saying was people were moving in, renovating, and then selling, and then moving out. And so they weren't counting that as business income. And Cheryl Nelson, I'm not sure I understand your comment. So if you could retype it, that'd be great.
Yeah. So
anyway.
we're talking capital gains here, and the fact that, generally housing is protected from capital gains when you're with your single family primary residence. So you buy a place, you live in it, and then there is, some people who believe that, I can just buy a place, live in it, fix it up, move on to the next one, do that over and over again, and increase my wealth that way. And for years, that's actually been a great way to do it. But the government is seeing that as a business and not as not as just your single family primary housing. You're actually conducting a business. So they want a piece of the profit.
Right, exactly. They're saying you're making an income doing this, so we deserve some profit with you.
Or at least what they're saying is you don't deserve the exemption on capital gains because it's not really your primary residence. So to flip that, it's not that they deserve it, it's that you don't deserve I think that's a more fair way of saying it in one sense. This is the fact that you have a protection on your home through the exemption for capital gains is a benefit to folks who want to protect their single family home. It would be horrible if we had to sell every time we sold a home, especially here where property values have gone up like 50% in the last couple of years, and then you go to sell your home and you have to pay tax on the increase.
Well, my stepmom just sold her property, and she bought it 40 years ago for $89,000. And so she just sold it for like $890,000. So she's going to have to pay capital gains on the equivalent of $400,000, basically. So so she was talking to me about it yesterday. I'm like, listen, you made the money, you have to pay the bill. That's the way it goes. Anyway. Oh, okay. Sorry. So that's the last one we have. Are there any other?
There, Jane.
Sorry about that. Are there any other comments, Jen?
Well, I'm curious, do either of you guys have lots of clients right now that are inquiring about it, their concern about interest rates rising, and what your thoughts are around that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't know that it's really, I've got my kind of more conservative buyers, the investor buyers, or the folks that they've been watching the market for the last couple of years, you might even say, and waiting for an opportunity to jump in and waiting for everything to crash. And now that there's some talk of interest rates rising, there's more talk of, okay, well, maybe there's more chance to find something we can pick up. But I just that's just become noise to me in the background in a sense, because I've been hearing this for years, people waiting for this crash and or this big change in that interest rates are going to put a big pause on things. It will pause, but I'm not certain that it's going to make that big a difference.
What's happening right now, I'll just kind of jump into it, fixed rates versus variable. We've got, fixed rates are almost getting close to 4% now. What that is doing we have the qualification rate, which is the greater of your benchmark rate or 2% higher than what your fixed interest rate is. So for those people that are wanting to go with a fixed rate, it is decreasing their qualification because they have to qualify at a rate instead of 5.25. It's now close to 4%, or pardon me, close to 6%. So that has had a bit of an effect. I am still very much recommending a variable rate. There is a possibility, or a huge possibility, that the variable rate may increase, or the overnight lending rate may increase 0.5% coming up in 2 days. That would then take effect May 1st. But I do have some great stats that I'd be happy to share. Just quickly, mortgage amount of $525,000. If you had a 5-year fixed rate of 3.79%, your payment would be $27.02 a month. If you went with a 5-year variable, your payment would be $21.23 a month.
Holy
So
smokes.
even if prime rate increased 2%, you would still be paying $53 less. And it takes, so yes, prime is expected to go up 0.5% in a few days, but it's still 1.5% less, and it takes time to make up that 1.5%. So you could be paying yourself, or paying the principal down on your mortgage, that additional amount, instead of paying the bank a higher interest rate to have that peace of mind of knowing that it's not going to go above 3.79%. You're actually paying yourself that couple $100 a month.
The thing that
principal your mortgage.
Yeah. The thing I find about, the fixed versus variable argument as well is that, generally you get a 5-year term. I mean, you can get a longer term. The people who are really conservative could maybe get up to is it a 10-year term?
Yes.
And they're going to pay a much higher interest rate, even fixed at that point. But generally we're talking in 5-year terms. So with that kind of term, if you're choosing fixed versus variable, even if you chose fixed and locked in, you're in 5 years, if interest rates have gone up, you're still going to have to renew at a new different fixed rate, whatever it's going to be. So whatever term of savings we're talking about is really just a 5-year span. And over that 5-year span, you've got to look at this. What are the chances that on average I'm going to be, higher than these variable rates are going to let me? So the question I would make is you can say that rates would have to go up to a certain, before they reach the fixed rates, that's a certain amount. They would have to go up to, but what would they have to go up to sort of average out above fixed, so that on your average you're paying
more, or it would be better to be fixed. So if prime goes up, prime is currently 2.7.
Yeah.
And let's assume that it goes up to 3.2%.
Yeah.
Based on the information that I have, or in calculating, and this is assuming a mortgage amount of $525, prime would have to go up to 4.95% for it to be worth going with a fixed rate.
Okay.
So much higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and also, just like, people need to understand that we're only talking about one aspect of loans. So there's also like, what are the penalties? What are your repayment options? What are your choices for locking in? There's a whole bunch of issues here that you need to discuss with your broker, not just rate. Everybody focuses just on rate. It's like when they write an offer and they only focus on price. There's lots of issues that are important to other people. That
Can you see how big my smile is and hearing what you just said? Because it's so true.
Yeah.
So true. There is so much more fine print to mortgages than just the rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you have two mortgages that are the same rate and two different lenders, they're going to take two different things into account. So
yes.
We got a like on that one. Woohoo. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
For me, I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation diving into the whole fixed versus variable debate. It's what I love to chat about. And we can save that for another day.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah.
Andrew, anything you want to add?
Nothing really. I think I also think that people, when they're talking about buying, we're talking first-time buyers, for example, and they're looking at fixed versus variable versus this versus that. They also need to look at, buying versus renting, and what are rental rates going to be doing in the next while? Because when we're talking about our mortgages going up and our mortgage payments going up, and we're talking about maybe seeing some inflation in the coming years, it could be also that we're going to be seeing higher rental rates and so forth as well. So it's not like you can always, it's always a moving target. There's so many different variables, as Jane alluded to, and Jen was smiling about, that you need to really just kind of, it's hard to put it all into one basket and think it all through, but you need to understand that it's not something you can just simplify and synthesize down into a, if it's this, then we do this. It's that there's a lot more complicated. So do lean on your experts, lean on your mortgage brokers and ask those questions, but also trust in the process once you do find those trusted advisors, because they will be able to give you the best guidance. It's so hard to make those decisions otherwise.
I agree. And also, like, understand that, you have to jive with the values of your agent as well as your broker, and what they're going to encourage you to do. Everybody is different, and you want to go with somebody who has your interests at heart. So how's that for a general statement? Okay, Jen, how do we get in touch with you?
Yes, I am at 250-217-4925, and email address j.lowe@dominionlending.ca.
One of my clients loves Jen because she's J Lowe to them. Okay, Andrew.
I love Jen, everyone. She's amazing, and she's also our personal mortgage broker. So yeah. She's done wonderful work for us. So to reach me, Andrew Plank, 250-360-6106. Email info@andrewplank.com, or come to the website andrewplank.com. There's great information on there, including a bio and more video. Okay, Jane.
Okay, you can reach me. My name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. We have two websites to meet your needs. One is briarhillgroup.com, where we talk about listings and sales. And the other one is Vancouver Island Time, where we host these videos and more about neighborhoods. So if you want more information just about real estate, please tune in every Monday. And don't forget to subscribe.
Jen has it. That's a nice hat, Jen.
A bobblehead.
Coming. Sorry about that.
I could have made that.
You look like a Welsh mortgage broker. Okay. All right. So, Andrew, do you want to do next Monday? It's Easter Monday. It's up to you.
I think we've been doing not doing holidays, and I think I like that. Let's keep it consistent. So no holidays, but that gives us the extra time for everything else.
Okay, so we'll be back on April 25th at 10 a.m. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody, and have a great week. Good luck, everybody, on your deals.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great week, Jane.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.